What's going on, everyone? Today I have another video for you all. Today I thought let's go back to October of 1991 because it was WCW Halloween Havoc where the beginning stages started for the Dangerous Alliance. Paulie Dangerously had a plan. He was going to build a group of 5 men to take over World Championship Wrestling. It all started at the pay-per-view WCW Halloween Havoc 1991. Sports Review Wrestling February 92 gives us an interview with Paulie Dangerously himself. It says, just days after being suspended as WCW color commentator, Paulie Dangerously returned to the Federation as a manager, just as brash and arrogant as he'd ever been. So he forms this group, this WCW Phantom. The surprise wrestler was Ravishing Rick Rude. Right there, Rick Rude came out in a mask. He gave the Rude Awakening to Z-Man Tom Zank. And we were off to the races. And not only with just Rick Rude, we also had Medusa by his side as well for the Dangerous Alliance. February 92, Inside Wrestling. The Enforcers taking apart the WCW piece by piece. The WCW Tag Team Champions at this time were Arn Anderson and Larry Zbyszko, the Enforcers, and they were a team that Paulie Dangerously grabbed to be a part of the Dangerous Alliance. This all took place on a WCW Saturday Night episode in 1991, right after Halloween Havoc, where he debuted Anderson and Zbyszko along with Rick Rude and Medusa. He brought in the television champion, Stunning Steve Austin, and he brought in beautiful Bobby Eaton as well. WCW Magazine, March 1992. We get a third-degree interview with Ravishing Rick Rude, who, of course, chop-blocked Sting's knee there in the match. Lex Luger originally was the one that did it before in a, as you can see, Luger chop-blocked the knee, but Rude also went after it in the match. He beat Sting for the U.S. title in, I think it was under 5 minutes. It was such a quick match. That was at the November 1991 Clash of the Champions. We get the 1992 March PWI Year in Review for awards, and we get Tag Team of the Year, The Enforcers, Arn Anderson and Larry Zbyszko bringing home the awards that year for being the best tag team, not in just WCW, but pro wrestling in general. The Wrestler, March 1992. It's open season on Sting's knee, says Rick Rude. Sting can accept the fact that his surgically reconstructed left knee is a fair target for opponents. Just make sure that when you're going after it, you do so head on. Clip him from behind, and you better make sure you end his career. So there's Rick Rude again going after the knee. So the Rude-Sting feud was something here. It went on for most of, all of Rick Rude's WCW career from 1991 all the way through 1994. Those two had many, many battles at times for various titles or places in tournaments and such. March 92, Inside Wrestling. Rhodes and Steamboat shocked the Enforcers and themselves. Clash of the Champions being the November one. Ricky Steamboat and Dustin Rhodes beat the Enforcers. Now, the Enforcers weren't a part of the Dangerous Alliance just yet, I believe. Or were they then? Yeah, they were. That's right. Or were now hold on. Now I'm thinking back. Did they go in after the Clash? Did Paulie build the Dangerous Alliance after the Clash? Because I don't remember. Let me see here. Because I remember this all happened in November when the Dangerous Alliance got built and the Enforcers lost the tag team titles. But I don't see anything about Paulie here. So my guess is it happened on the event, the Saturday night after this. They had, yes, it would have, because Rude was U.S. champion then, yes. So Unfortunately, the Enforcers didn't have the help of Paul Lee that night, but they were in the Dangerous Alliance. See, that whole time frame there is so weird because things happen so quickly in WCW from October straight to December, and you'll see coming up what I mean by that. WCW Magazine, what is that, April 92? Paulie dangerously, my Dangerous Alliance will destroy WCW brick by brick. There we see Bobby Eaton now, the heel, the villain, going after Ricky Steamboat. There is the WCW Saturday Night episode. So yes, it did happen after the Clash. There's Rude with the U.S. title and Austin with the TV title. Bobby and Larry are carrying Rick Rude. So yes, I forgot. So yes, the Enforcers lost the tag belts before they were in the Dangerous Alliance, but they went into the Dangerous Alliance, like I think it was like the week after on WCW Saturday Night. It was so quick. Things were happening so fast here in WCW. We also got something else here. Oh yeah, Enter the Dragon, the threat to Rick Rude's U.S. title. Ricky Steamboat, also going after Rude here, which is funny because Ricky was a World Tag Team Champion at the time with Dustin. Still going for Rude's U.S. title. Pro Wrestling Illustrated, April 92. We get the Eaton-Anderson Alliance. Was a masterstroke. That's right. So out was Larry Zbyszko and in was Bobby Eaton. Paul Lee dangerously put together maybe the greatest tag team ever. Bobby Eaton and Arn Anderson. I mean, Bobby held tag belts with Stan Lane, Dennis Condrey, Arn with Larry, with Tully Blanchard, with Ole Anderson. So Arn and Bobby won the World Tag titles from Ricky Steamboat and Dustin Rhodes in early 1992. And then you have a press conference with Medusa, who was the valet of the Dangerous Alliance here. So, WCW was doing some big things here with the Dangerous Alliance, and the magazines knew it. Inside Wrestling, April 92. It says, the Steiners warning to WCW fan favorites, if the Dangerous Alliance scares you, get out now. So Rick and Scott were making a run for Beautiful Bobby and Arn Anderson. They wanted to become tag champions again, and they went for it. They actually did beat them for it down the road. Hot seat, Rick Steamboat. Rick Rude is everything a man shouldn't be. So there we go. Steamboat is going for Rick Rude here. There he is wrestling Double A. There he is getting into a kind of a war there at Medusa, a verbal war. So I've tried retiring before and it just doesn't work. I can't stay away. Rick Rude, if you're listening, you better be ready. The dragon is coming after you. So they had some awesome matches in 1992. May 92 of The Wrestler. Anderson Eaton win the world belts. There it is. 2 steps away from a title monopoly, meaning will the Dangerous Alliance get all the gold? Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Will Dangerous power corrupt Paulie dangerously? Now that the Dangerous Alliance holds 3 important titles, this insidious band of rule breakers is just 2 steps away from total WCW dominance. And that was, look at that, that's an awesome look. I wish that was a poster of Bobby and Arn there at the tag belts. That's so good. I believe that also happened on a house show when they won the belts. It wasn't televised. May 92 of Inside Wrestling. The true story behind Steve Austin, Lady Blossom split, because when Steve came into the company, he was managed by Lady Blossom. He was television champion thanks to her help. Steve Austin, of course, ironically defeated Beautiful Bobby Eaton to win that TV title, who ironically defeated Arn Anderson to win his. So a lot of connection there, a lot of history within the Dangerous Alliance. A lot of people thought, in kayfabe terms, is this going to work? Too much past history with a lot of these guys. But Steve Austin got rid of Lady Blossom and went with Paul E. Dangerously. Spring 1992 of Wrestling 92, we got the Dangerous Alliance, wrestling's newest and deadliest force. And inside it shows a picture here, the Dangerous Alliance, wrestling's newest and deadliest force. The sheer audacity with which Paulie dangerously turned from announcer into the most powerful manager in pro wrestling immediately places him in a class by himself. There's Steve, Rude, the Enforcers, Medusa, and Bobby. So they had their group was only about a year old too. I mean, I think it was from like October 91 it started. It ended about November 92. So in 1 year's time in WCW, that group of people really caused some chaos and some good times, though, for us fans, but the fan favorites were not happy. May 92, PWI. We get a centerfold of WCW United States Champion Ravishing Rick Rude. Here we see the Dangerous Alliance on the cover of the magazine for WCW Magazine. This is June 92. They all look great. This, of course, is one of those double magazines. So the story here is just talking about Wrestle War 92, the big War Games match that the teams of 5, will they survive in that? Who knows? You know, it was a bloody match. A lot of blood was shed in that match. Wrestling 92, Summer 92, vengeance will be his, the Stinger's plan for ravishing Rick Rude. Their strike 1 came when Rick Rude stole the U.S. title from Sting. Strike 2 came on February 29th when Sting won the WCW World title and Rude attacked him afterward. But Rude won't get a third strike. That belongs to Sting. So Stinger and Rude going at it. When Sting was WCW champion, though, I don't remember him wrestling Rick Rude or anything at the time. I remember he beat Lex, wrestled Cactus Jack, wrestled Rude in the cage for War Games, and then went on to wrestle Vader. So PWI, June 92. Thumbs down to the Psycho Yuppie. Paulie Dangerously's multi-million-dollar offer to Sting. Wow, so Paulie was trying to get the Stinger into the Dangerous Alliance. I think Sting's brain has gone soft from all the beatings we've given him. He can't even tell the difference between a serious business proposition and a crank phone call. So I don't know if he meant as a joke then or if he was for real, but interesting story there for PWI to give us. WCW Magazine, July 1992. We get, are the fans responsible for the Rude Steamboat War? So these guys had some great matches. Super Brawl 2, Beach Blast 92, that 30-minute Iron Man match they had for the U.S. title. Or no, I guess it wasn't for the U.S. title. It was a non-title, but it should have been for the U.S. title. The Steamboat won 4 falls to 3, so it really should have been for the U.S. title. I don't know what they were thinking giving it non-title, but they had quite the war here, and just awesome stuff. I also believe I have the Rick Rude poster in here too, so a part of this magazine. Here we see Ravishing Rick Rude on the cover. Number 2 just won't do it. For Rick Rude, the U.S. belt means failure. This is for the Wrestler, July 1992. A nice story in there of Rude on that. In the WWF, he was Intercontinental Champ. In WCW, he's U.S. Champ, always second best, never number 1. That always been Rick Rude's problem. Now he's doing something about it. So Rick Rude wanted to be world champion, and he ended up going for the NWA world title in the fall of 92 and would have had the WCW title match at Starrcade, but he, of course, hurt his back really bad and couldn't compete that night. Sports Review Wrestling, July 92. Wrestling's last gentleman gets bad. Rick Steamboat must be suspended, I guess that's for his feud with Ravishing Rick Rude. Is Rick Steamboat dealing with his career problems appropriately, or has the Dangerous Alliance driven him to the point of no return? For the Dragon, these are truly the times that try a man's soul. There's some wars there with Bobby Eaton, Rick Rude, Larry Zbyszko. Man, WCW Worldwide and Saturday Night back in the day in 92 always saw either 6-man tags or one-on-ones between Steamboat and the Dangerous Alliance. August 92 for the Wrestler. Bunkhouse Madness, too dangerous for the Dangerous Alliance. We see Barry Windham there, Junkyard Dog, Steve Austin. The Dangerous Alliance prides itself on treading where most men fear to go. Then came a series of bunkhouse matches against Barry Windham and his allies. After this, Paulie Dangerously and his minions will be a lot more careful the next time they claim superiority in every situation. I think they had a bunkhouse match at Super Brawl 2, if I remember correctly. Barry and Dustin against Zbyszko and Austin. WCW Magazine, we get, this is August 92. We get a poster of Paulie Dangerously here, which is nice. You can put it on a dartboard. And you get the Steiners regain the World Tag title. This was at a house show too in a steel cage. Rick and Scott Steiner defeated Arn Anderson and beautiful Bobby Eaton. These are the clips, the photos you're going to see of that match. The Steiners, once again, WCW World Tag Team Champions. Wrestling Superstars. What is this one? September 92. Please don't hurt my daddy, little Ricky. When Rick Steamboat came home with a broken nose, he gave his 4.5-year-old son a broken heart. With the help of his mother, Bonnie, Ricky Jr. has made an appeal for justice, one that his father intends to honor and uphold. This, of course, that big deal with the Dangerous Alliance again, breaking the nose of Ricky Steamboat on the cement floor. There's Barry and Dustin looking on. Is there any other photos of? No. So, all right. WCW Magazine. September 92, we get Rick Rude, the U.S. champ, on the cover. Let's take a look inside. We get Rick Rude versus Nikita Koloff. The Dangerous Alliance gambled when it tried to recruit Nikita Koloff. When the Russian Nightmare refused the offer, he ignited a U.S. title feud with Ravishing Rick Rude that's for sure to keep the mats blazing with the fiery action all summer, but will they both be able to withstand the heat? So that was a good one here. Nikita and Rude had some good matches. We got the Wrestle War 92 clips there of look at that, bloody Steve Austin, a bloody Dustin Rhodes. And we get Larry Zbyszko reveals dangerous secrets. Larry Zbyszko's departure from the Dangerous Alliance stunned the wrestling world, and the fallout continues with this exclusive feature in which the Cruncher puts the squeeze on all his former teammates. So Larry Zbyszko is out. He got outed at the War Games match when he accidentally hit beautiful Bobby Eaton with a turnbuckle, causing Bobby to submit to Sting's armbar. September 92 of The Wrestler. Paul E. Dangerously's hush money can't keep us quiet as the alliance slowly crumbles. Not long ago, the Dangerous Alliance was the most formidable organization in the sport. Its leader, Paul E. Dangerously, was in complete control of his charges. Then the trouble began. Some members of the Alliance stopped listening to Paul E. Now he's desperate to make everyone believe all is well. This again, of course, happening after Wrestle War. There's the shot right here, Larry hitting Bobby with the turnbuckle, which caused Bobby Eaton to say, "I quit," to Sting's armbar. Wrestling Superstars, October 92. We get an Iron Man, this talking about Beach Blast 30-minute match with Rick Steamboat and Ravishing Rick Rude, where, of course, Rude lost that match. Wrestle America, October 92. We get the snub that ignited a war, the real story behind the Wyndham-Austin feud. Stunning Steve Austin certainly knows how to spin a yarn. He can tell a tall tale with the best of them. But we'll let you decide whether the scenario described in this story ever happened. Our jury is still out. Of course, Barry Windham defeated Steve Austin for the World Television title, only holding on to it for a month before Steve won it back. This is November 92 of WCW Magazine. We get a poster of Medusa in here for the fans to put up. Pro Wrestling Illustrated, November 92. We get Medusa, the real woman behind the Mad Woman. Physically and financially fit single white female with a mind for business and a body for sin, whose interests include cooking, crochet, martial arts, scuba, and the great outdoors, seeks to be understood by the wrestling masses. WCW's Most Dangerous Woman opens up her private life on the pages of PWI. Also sounds like the beginning of like a dating app of something that she would say, but yeah, there's Medusa enjoying her private time away from the ring. Here we got November 92 Inside Wrestling. Medusa, you haven't seen the best of me yet. An interview with her in there talking about WCW and Rick Rude. I hope Missy and all you stupid readers out there are happy with her artificial body. I want competition. I want a challenge, and there just isn't much out there. So yeah, she would end up leaving to go to the WWF as Alundra Blaze in 93. December 92, Wrestling Superstars. We have an interview with Ravishing Rick Rude. talking about his career at this time in WCW. Wrestle America, December 92. This is a poster of Rick Rude with the United States Heavyweight Championship. January 1993 of The Wrestler. This is Michael Hayes will double cross you. That's right. Arn Anderson and Bob Eaton were now being managed by Michael Hayes as well as Paul E. Dangerously. This was a weird time. This would have been September 1992. Michael Hayes took over as a manager of Arn and Bobby. January 93, Inside Wrestling. Will Rick Rude block Dustin Rhodes' path to superstardom? Having beaten opponents who are a notch below the best, Dustin Rhodes prepared for the biggest test of his career, a series of matches against WWS champion Rick Rude. But is Dustin ready to vault into superstardom, or is he just too young to handle the pressure? So Dustin and Rick Rude were going to have this feud there. Then Rick Rude got injured. Dustin ended up becoming U.S. champion in a tournament on WCW Saturday Night, defeating Ricky Steamboat in the tournament final, which was supposed to be a number one contender match, which ended up being for the U.S. title because Rude was injured. January 93, Wrestling Superstars. We get Steamboat destroys Austin. Is this the end of the Dangerous Alliance? Larry Zbyszko is long gone. Steve Austin and Arn Anderson have switched. What's that word? What? Elegancies? Elegancies? Is that a word? Elegances? Oh man, I don't know that word. Rick Rude is in love, so when Steve Austin lost the TV title to Rick Steamboat, the Dangerous Alliance suffered perhaps the final blow. This happened on the September Clash of the Champions, the 20-year anniversary. Steamboat won the television title from stunning Steve Austin. Next up, we got February 1993 with Razor Ramon on the cover, but we get why WCW revolves around Rick Rude. A nice story here talking about Rude and his chance. He was going to go after Ron Simmons and the WCW title. Inside Wrestling, February 93. Biceps, babes, and belts. Is Rick Rude too greedy for his own good? WCW US champion Rick Rude is defending his title, going after WCW World Champion Ron Simmons, working out in the gym, and going after NWA champion Masa Chono at the same time. Sooner or later, he'll run into the brick wall he never saw. So yes, he was in Japan. He went to the finals against Chono. Chono won the NWA title. He wrestled Chono at Halloween Havoc for it and didn't win that either. It was quite the career there for Rick Rude. Wrestle America, February 93. Why Big Van Vader is fighting mad at Rick Rude. This is because Vader defended the U.S. title for Rude at Halloween Havoc, defeating Nikita Koloff because Rude had his match with Chono for the NWA title. So they were trying to make a story there between the two. Here's the photos from Halloween Havoc when those guys competed. Next up, we got Pro Wrestling Illustrated year-end awards again. Paul E. Dangerously won Manager of the Year, and Rick Rude won Most Hated Wrestler of the Year. March 93 of The Wrestler. Medusa's promise to Paul E. First I took your pride, now I'll take your power. Once partners in wrestling, Most Dangerous Alliance. Medusa and Paul E. Dangerously are now at violent odds. Medusa pulled down Paul E.'s pants at Clash of the Champions 21, both literally and figuratively. So they had a match there. That was the last time, I believe, Paul E. Dangerously appeared in WCW, too. He was gone after this, I believe. Thus making the Dangerous Alliance gone. Here's March 93 of Medusa on the cover. The complete Medusa talking about just her wrestling career. So getting ready to leave, eventually to go to the WWF. Rick Rude on the cover of April 93. I am the sexiest man alive for WCW Magazine. Rick Rude calls himself the sexiest man alive, but that's not all he calls himself in this incredible monologue penned by the Ravishing Run exclusively for readers of WCW Magazine. Next up, Inside Wrestling, April 93. Paul E. Dangerously, I want you for the Dangerous Alliance. So he's hyping, he wants people back in the group. This time around, I'll be ready for the pitfalls, the internal strife, and clashing egos. The Dangerous Alliance didn't break down. It became too good for its own good. I can make any rule-breaking stable work. And he did just do that. Wrestlers, September 93, the Dangerous Alliance is back and ready to self-destruct. This is an ECW with Jimmy Snuka, Don Morocco, Eddie Gilbert, and the Dark Patriot. So there you have it, folks. A look at the Dangerous Alliance from October 92 to, well, 1993 here in the ECW. Of course, they had a great run in WCW. The ECW run of this group, not that good, but Paulie Dangerously ended up doing some great things in ECW in other ways, right? Let's be honest now. All right, guys, this was our look at the Dangerous Alliance. From Rick Rude, Arn Anderson, Larry Zbyszko, Beautiful Bobby, and Stunning Steve with Medusa and Paul E. I hope you enjoyed it. And once again, go back and watch those WCW moments from October 91 to December 92. You will not regret it. All right, guys, until I do my next one, I'll talk to you later.